You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. The Chiro Hustle Podcast is sponsored by Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 750 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. David Michael Touhill, and we get real on the topics of practice growth and marketing. Stay tuned for the whole episode.
Welcome back. This is another episode of, you guessed it, the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Dave Touhill on with me. We've been trying to wrangle this episode together for about 10 months. Here we are today. We're going to talk some things about the profession. But before we jump into this episode, I'm going to share with you our big why. Why do we do what we do? I'll be really brief. We protect freedom of speech, medical freedom, family health freedom. If you're curious about medical freedom or family health freedom, reach out to a chiropractor in your city, and they'll help you guide you and your family to better understanding of that. Philosophically speaking, we protect BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. I think that's super important. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes, click on it, read it. Even if you've been practicing for 30 years, you're going to fall back in love with this beautiful profession, and you're going to learn more about it if you don't know much about chiropractic. We also believe in subluxation based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say this, but they're taking the language out of the schools, and the kids that are graduating are far removed from understanding the tenets and the philosophy of this profession. So this is a big dose of that, and we're going to give you a further dose of it moving forward. But we also believe that in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates the educated intelligence. And this is episode 750. Dave Touhill, welcome to the show.
Good to be here with you, brother.
Yeah, long time coming. And I know we're going to jump into some questions here shortly, but I just want you to share people, the listeners of this podcast, how you got into chiropractic and share a little bit of your origin story.
Yeah. So I'm one of 10 kids. Parents had 10 kids. I'm number 9, and was introduced to chiropractic by my brother-in-law, Pete Camiolo, Dr. Pete Camiolo, who many of you guys probably know. And yeah, I was, I did my undergrad and then went to chiropractic school at Life University. Pete kind of really was a mentor to me in that time and has been a mentor to me since then. And about halfway through chiropractic school, I knew that there was something that I was meant to have a different effect on chiropractic while also being a chiropractor. And so I still finished school, but I started working, doing a lot of marketing while I was in chiropractic school and built a marketing company for chiropractors. That was like the early days of Facebook, and then went into practice. Pretty soon after getting to practice, I simultaneously worked with Dr. Axe which ended up being about an 8-year time that I spent with him, and moved fully out of practice into the business world. And then just in the last 2 years, I've come back into chiropractic. And we'll jump in a little bit more into this, but after being in the business space and then coming back into the chiropractic space, it was kind of an eye opener, because we were selling different supplements and different products that, you got to convince people to buy these things, but then you have chiropractic, which is, it really needs no convincing, other than getting them into the office. But once they experience a chiropractic adjustment, it's like, this is the best thing out there, but at the same time, our profession is in a lot of trouble in a lot of ways, as we've talked about, you and I have talked about personally. And so So I really came back into chiropractic. I'm still working with some enterprise companies outside of chiropractic, but I really came back into chiropractic to bring some of these business truths to chiropractic, and then really just help chiropractic become what I believe it's possible for it to become.
Yeah, and as we organically flow through today's conversation on things, you did help generate over $1 billion in revenue as a marketer.
Yep.
Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I got to spend a lot of other people's money to learn. Is kind of how I like to say it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a marketer for sure. I definitely know marketing pretty dang well after spending a lot of other people's money to market their businesses. But I think, it's an interesting question, because I think how I learned to market in the past and kind of what got me up to today is it definitely evolved as I've learned from, marketing small chiropractic offices or small health brands to really enterprise massive companies and being a part of the marketing team there. Yeah, I mean, I learned that if you have a great product, you can make a lot of money. And when you look at the numbers and you follow and you track numbers that work and you indoctrinate people into the products that you have, you can really make a lot of impact and make a lot of money doing that. And I'll say, like, marketing in chiropractic, which I hope we get to that topic, is so much simpler, right? It's so much simpler than, say, convincing people to consume ground bones, chiropractic makes sense, and so I'd love to get into specifically with chiropractic. I don't know if you want to do this now, or we can jump into that in a little bit, but like specifically within chiropractic, it is so easy to market chiropractic. And I'm gonna make my first controversial claim of today that I'm sure I'll get some backlash on, but Facebook ads are like this. Facebook ads are, if your practice is relying on Facebook ads to have success, or some sort of gimmick to have success, you're missing the easiest, best way to market your practice. And Jim is Jim knows about this, because Jim is an expert at some of the things that I recommend. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for the time. I don't like to talk too much about the successes of the past and more about what the future holds. But I've been blessed to be able to really work with some incredible leaders in business and in health and learn a lot.
Well, let's take it from the student's perspective and let's give them some advice on marketing, because I know that that's the next pathway that we're going to discuss. And yeah, let's dive right into the marketing game, because as what you're talking about, you've gone out of the chiro space, enterprise, helped a lot of big companies brand their products and launch, which is really a significant thing. Not a lot of chiropractors get a chance to do that. Not a lot of chiropractors really understand marketing. And I really believe what we're going to talk about next is old school marketing is becoming cool again.
Yeah. I mean, knocking on doors, dude. I'll start this off. I many of you guys know Gilles LaMarche. I love Gilles. Just a good man. And I was asking him, I was like, dude, how did you used to market? And he went through some old school techniques, and I was like, man, that's how it needs to go today. So for some of these things, I'll give credit to Gilles for some of the ideas that I'll share. But, for a chiropractic student, and if you're a chiropractor, it's the same for you, because you're probably not doing this anyways.
Because you're still a student.
Right. And so for chiropractic students, I mean, when you open an office, it's just you, right? So you have to drum up the business. So that really comes down to knocking on doors. So that's where, like, your lots of screenings, building community connections. Again, I'm going to say some controversial stuff. So if you have feedback or, think that this is wrong, shoot me a message and I'd love to battle it out. But I personally think that if I'm going into a town and I'm trying to build trust, I want to find people that have already built trust in that town. So I want to find leaders. I want to find, the police department, the fire department. I want to find the sheriff, the pastor of the church, and I want the office to be full. I don't care if they're paying me or not. I want to start putting my hands on people. Students and chiropractors, your best marketing asset is your hands. A lot of doctors do a 3-day visit and they never adjust them, right? Until the third day, or until it's like your best marketing asset is your hand. So where I would start is if I was opening a practice, which don't count me out because it looks like there's a strong chance that I'll be opening a practice here soon in Nashville, or as a kind of an owner and help guide it. But the first thing you want to do is you want to focus on finding leaders in your town and just bring them in. Offer your pastor, hey, I'd love to, I just want to honor you for the work that you're doing in this town. I'd love to compliment you, give you a complimentary care for a month. And if you'd like to continue going forward, we can do that, right? And you can put them on a care, extend their care plan. But if I was just opening an office, and I've given this advice to many new docs, I would find people, gym owners, doulas. I would find all these people because you're not going to be doing anything anyways. You're going to be paying the rent and nobody's going to be coming in, right? So I'd find people that have influence in the town and bring them in and give them a month of free care, or a month of discounted care. But I'd recommend free care if it's possible in your town, and just serve people that have already built trust in your town. So that's the first part. Now, I don't like screenings. James is the best screener probably on planet Earth. And so I'm going to say something that unless you're James Chester and can bring in James Chester, screenings can be very tough as an ongoing thing to always do as the lifeblood of your practice. But in the early stages of practice, and when you have good events like a farmer's market in your town, you want to keep doing that, like a warm event, you want to keep screening. But screening is also super important at the beginning. Really, until you get your first 150 patients, you should cluster book your patients so that you when you're at the office, it's like I'm adjusting patients, and then when the patients aren't here, I'm out in the town. I'm connecting with leaders, getting coffee with different leaders, inviting them into the practice, going to screenings, right? Picking screenings that you already have I'd rather meet a leader and then them invite me to their event and screen at that event than be like, oh, can I pay? You usually pay less or nothing if you can be the person that adds value first, right? And so that would be the advice that I would give to students on marketing. Are you okay, Jim, if we go like a level further once we get?
I'm absolutely okay with it. And I want to add some stuff in here too.
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of times there's a joint in your community. And I always recommend if you do more of a thorough style, x-ray style practice where you're a full functioning chiropractic center, I would recommend going and building a relationship with their team and saying, hey, if you guys have hot discs or you get people over here that need x-ray or need further level of care other than what you guys are providing, please refer them over to me. And I also tell the young docs to build relationships with urgent cares in their community and to find the people that are the admins in that group and the owner operators of that group and build relationships with them because they want people to get better faster too. And a lot of times they're stuck in a medical model that doesn't work. So they're going to look to you as a provider that they can refer to if you're going to be able to build a relationship, like you're saying, find those community leaders and start working with them and networking with them. And those are two like easy hanging fruit relationships that you should go and have coffee with those people like ASAP. And I think that those are two core alliances that most people don't look at. But as you start to build that relationship with those people, they're going to start sending you over cases and you're going to start being able to network with that group. And, that's really the community standard. And you said, go knocking doors. Like, I tell a lot of young docs, like, go and to chat GTP because everybody's using it and ask it to build a list of businesses that have between 50 to 100 employees and go out there and show up and talk to those business owners and get to know them and, offer them, certificates to come in as new patients. Like you said, just get the place full and start building relationships in that method too. And eventually you're going to have yourself a very thriving practice and you're going to be the place in town where everybody's going to know that there's a chiropractor here. And whether you've been doing it for 3 years and your numbers aren't where they want to be, like say you're not at 150 like Dave's talking about, you should go do these methods and build the practice up. So I just wanted to anchor in with some other strategic modeling that people could go do if they're looking to build a practice and they're young and they're hungry. Go do all these things.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And then I think that once you get to 150, you still want to be doing those things. And James, I'm okay. I'd be happy to share with you, give a playbook that we can share to everybody that jumps on here. This one's hot off the press. It's the ambassador playbook, but that's the lifeblood of your practice. Once you kind of get the momentum going, is your top patients. So many people spend so much time. Hormozi calls it the 80-20 rule. I know he didn't come up with it, but 20% or 80% of our results come from 20% of the people. And I actually think that it's actually 20% of that. Your top patients are the ones that are going to go out and promote you. And so instead of spending all of our time on the people that are off track, and we're trying to find them and call them and get a hold of them, and then the people that are coming in consistent and bring their families in and refer, we're like, hey, thank you. Hey, great to see you. Doing more for those people. And like Hormozi says, you want to light up the ones that are already lit, right? You want to light up the people that are already on fire for you. And then instead of you having to go out in the community all the time, now you build out a team of your raving fan patients. They then go out in the community, right? And so I have a formula. We don't have time to go through the whole thing today, but I have a formula and I'm happy to share it with you with no strings attached. There's not even a link on there other than it's a Google document, but of where you really want to build up that ambassador team. And then that's the team that goes out. They book events for you. They bring in new patients for you. 80 to 90% of your new patients are going to come from 20 to 30 people. Like, think about it in your practice. Like, it really does. And we don't even try, but the same people are going to refer. And so building out an ambassador team and having a structured program where you're investing into them, they would work for you for free anyways, but you invest into them on another level, and then they become your hands and feet out in the community. And instead of having cold intros, now you have warm intros to everything. Oh, this is my son's football coach. Oh, this is where my daughter plays gymnastics. This is her coach, oh, this is where I go to school. This is my son's teacher, you get warm intros, and that drives events, that drives referrals. And so if I could give one thing for chiropractors right now is your biggest, the 75 to 80% of your marketing needs to come from inside your office, not from outside your office. Yes, there's other things we want to do outside, screenings and Facebook and all that stuff. Like I'd say cold screenings, right? Warm screenings is kind of an internal thing. But if you're a chiropractor, referrals is where you want people to come in from. And there's no reason that you shouldn't have referrals. The reason you don't have a lot of referrals, not saying a lot, but I'm saying it might be the majority of your new patients, but it's because we don't have a system for it. It's like this thing that we have a system for day one, we have a system for day two. Referrals, we just hope we get them, right? Or we just ask them, right? And say, here's a paper and take a list. It's like, no, focus on your ambassadors. Your ambassadors will be the ones that drive far more referrals and far more business than anything else that you can invest in. And so my whole point of all of that is to say, if there's one thing to remember is that focus on the 4%. Focus on the ones that are hottest and get them to be hotter. Don't focus on the 4% or the 10% that are off track. They're missing visits. We put so much energy into them, and we miss out on the people that are going to bring other really great people in.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. The Chiro Hustle Podcast is sponsored by Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just listening to you and the enthusiasm that you share, it makes sense because you've done the work, you've studied the game, you've studied the systems, you've seen how high producing offices actually run. And that's really a big caveat to having you on the show today. But let's flip into like the futuristic model of chiropractic. I know you said that you would jump in and talk about that, and it might not be so appealing to people that listen to it, but just share with us the real truth. Where do you see it going in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. I want to word this correctly because I think it's important. And I've made some pretty, I've had some posts. I've kind of backed off a little bit, but I've made some posts that have gotten me, some fine Facebook messages. But I say this from a place of I love this profession. I think we have the best product out there by far, and this is someone that's been in the health product space. I know it's out there. Chiropractic is such a great profession. The thing that was shocking to me, Jim, when I came back into chiropractic was all of these people that I had looked up to that had built the clinics, that had done all this stuff, they were in the same place. And what I mean by in the same place is their clinics still completely relied on them. And in business, like this is me like being completely out of chiropractic, coming back into business. I was like, guys, like in business, you're in early startup mode. And it's not saying that to offend anybody. It's saying that to say the business is not an asset yet. It's a liability. When you're just starting a business and it's all it's a liability. It's all just your work and your money and you hope it works out, And I'm not saying it doesn't make you money, but if something happened, which this has happened to many of my friends, they threw their back out. There's 700 patient a week office, like the gold standard of what, a lot of people want to get to, these big offices, completely fell apart. And so when I look at the majority of the profession, this doesn't even get into like the amount of offices that are being, the projections show that 50% of chiropractic offices will be owned by corporate companies by 2028, right? So, and it's going fast, right? And the reason why is because groups like The Joint, and I commend them, right? And there's great groups like Chiro One. I would recommend you work with Chiro One. I know Stu, he's awesome, but the reason that those clinics are so successful is because they're actually running a business. And I know that's hard for some chiros to hear. Well, Dave, guys, chiropractic, I know it's a mission, but it's also a business, right? And what I've seen from a lot of the coaching out there, a lot of the groups out there, and I'm not going to here to call everybody out. I want everybody to come together and realize that the path that we're going down has not led to prosperity in our profession. There's less chiropractors now than there were 5 years ago. And there's less chiropractors 5 years ago than 5 years before. So yes, chiropractic is still chiropractic. It's still the best thing out there. But in terms of our profession, we need to change our model. We need to change our way of doing things because we're like the blind leading the blind, right? We're getting advice from people and people are learning from coaches. I'm not saying that these are all coaches, right? But look at what the results are. Look at where the profession is at right now. How many docs have an asset that if they sold the practice, they could retire? Or if they sold the practice, they'd actually make a meaningful amount of money, right? And I'm not saying take the passion and the mission and all that stuff out of it, but we have too good of a product. This is coming from an enterprise marketer and business strategist. It's too good of a product for us to be using these niche, what's the word? One time, hey, it works for now type of thing. This is a fun strategy for now. We need to follow principles, business principles in our profession. We need to build assets. We need to have functional accountability charts. We actually need to have real KPIs. Chiropractors that own businesses need to become better leaders. Because the reason, this is the last thing I'll say, Jim, on this, the way that you build a business that scales is it stops becoming about you. And it starts and it becomes very, very much about the people that you're going to develop, right? So then they step up into the role that they're called to be in and you're called to be the leader. But there's so many bosses in chiropractic, and it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing, but you're telling everybody what to do. All the problems come to you, right? And it's just not scalable, And so our profession really, I intend to really, I'm starting a podcast. I shared that with Jim and that'll come out here soon. But I intend to kind of get the truth out there because we're struggling. Chiropractors are struggling. We're constantly always looking for the next thing to get the next new patient. It's have we grown at all? I would ask yourself the question, have you grown in the last, and I'm not talking for docs in their first couple of years that are on fire. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the great majority of our profession. have we grown? Are you worried about the future of your practice? Like, if something happened to you today, God forbid you got in a car accident, what would happen like to your family's income? Like, you don't have a business, you know? And so that's the future of chiropractic, I think, is very bright, because there's a lot of great, bright minds. Jim, I love talking to you because you're always thinking forward on this. I think there's enough people that are ready for a change. And I think a lot of chiropractors are kind of sick and tired of the same thing. I think a lot of the new docs that are coming through realize that there's a better way. And I'm not here to sell people into a program or get people a part of my whatever. I just want people to realize that, guys, we got to start running businesses here, like true businesses that are assets, that don't rely on you, that lift up great team members, that have high team retention, right? That have culture, you know? And there's a position for everybody. There's a position for great chiros to be great head of patient cares. And maybe they don't want to be a business owner, right? And there's a place for chiros that want to own business. There's a place for non-chiros that want to own businesses, you know? And so anyways, you can tell I'm very passionate about chiropractic. I think, honestly, from like a strategic standpoint, we have the best product on planet Earth. You know, we just got to start running businesses.
Well, I think you're explaining something very clear. People need to go read The Chiropractic E-Myth by Gerber, and they'll understand exactly what you're saying. Because what you're explaining to me is that every chiropractor is stuck in an open loop of being a technician. And when you're a technician, you don't ever enterprise and actually build a business around you. And it's almost frowned upon to do that within the chiropractic space, is to evolve as a practitioner. And it's like we have to do the thing and stick in the trenches and do the table work all the time and never become prosperous enough to actually grow a business. But if you go and like look at like sports, for instance, the scoreboard always tells who wins. And if you look at the scoreboard of chiropractic, like you're saying, over the past decade, the scoreboard shows that we're not winning. It shows that we're drawing back and we're losing ground. And I believe what you said is there's a lot that goes into this, but if we don't address some of these topics and start to figure out solutions for them, because I do a lot of work with the state associations now. And the average age of somebody inside one of those weekend events where people go get CEs is about 45 years old, okay? So if we don't start looking at the future and graduating in future leaders for the profession to represent at a state level at minimum, there's nobody going to be representing the profession over this gap. There's a huge gap between the 28-year-olds that are graduating and the 45-year-olds that are there. So there's like a decade of missing link where we don't have representation. So we definitely have to go and start graduating people, not only being practitioners and growing their practice, but thinking about chiropractic as a business and participating on a state level and plugging into these groups and really representing chiropractic, not just for the sake of growing your business, but for the sake of protecting and preserving the profession. Because I believe chiropractic is kind of an endangered species at this point. We have to really nurture it. I looked at the numbers. I gave a talk in Virginia 2 weekends ago, and there's only 100,400 some odd chiropractors globally. So, and then, you know, I don't want to like speak too much because obviously it's not my interview, it's your interview, but we have to be thankful for the growth that there is, but we have to know that we're on borrowed time. We have to do better. But transitioning, I know we only have a few minutes left. Share with us, I know you mentioned earlier, Pete Camiolo, your brother-in-law is one of your inspirations to become a chiropractor, but it sounds like Jill LaMarche might be one of your mentors possibly, but who are some of the people that helped you become the chiropractor you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably spend this entire time talking about Pete. And if you know Pete, Pete's just the salt of the earth. He's also married to my sister, so I may be a little bit biased, but I think, you know, what I love about Pete is about others, truly about others, not like I'm about others, but really like I'm about me, you know, and, you know, I've been around leaders that, you know, grow themselves, you know, in the sense of it's all about them and they want to build their name and build their power essentially, or authority. And then you have someone like Pete, who's just, for those who don't know, Pete's the president of the Remarkable Practice, and just an incredible human being. But really, I mean, in chiropractic, I would say the most significant impact on my life has been Pete. And the reason that I'm back in chiropractic and doing the work that I'm doing and really trying to get underneath this and really helping chiros build an actual business has been Pete, And I think that for me, when I'm looking for a mentor, and this goes to the students or any other docs, when I'm looking for a mentor, I'm looking at are they doing all this because it's about them, or are they doing all this because it's about others? Is it about their optics, or is it about serving others? And there's no one that I know of that serves people like Pete Camiolo serves people. If you ever met Pete or sat with him before, Jim, I know you've met him. He gives you his full attention, and it's never about Pete. It's never about Pete. It's always about you. It's always about serving others. And so I'll give that whole credit of chiropractic mentorship. I've had other mentors in the past. Gilles is a dear friend. There's many others that I could give honorable mention to, but I would say that if there's someone that you want to listen to, Pete Camiolo is just an incredible human being. I know I am a chiropractor because of him. I am where I am in different business because of his guidance and mentorship, especially earlier on. Now we're more peers, but yeah, I mean, Pete's really had a big impact on my life because he is so about others. And that for me is the most admirable trait when I'm looking at who I'm going to follow, who I'm going to coach with, who I'm going to serve. It's man, I want people that are just so about others, and Gilles is like that too. If you're listening to this, you've probably had a point where Gilles has poured into your life, and Jim, you're again, I wouldn't come on here. This is the only podcast I've gotten on in chiropractic in 10 years. Jim, you're about others, you're about serving others, and I think that's what the founding fathers wanted. That's what we were intended to do. And I think that if I could give one kind of battle cry is let's focus on serving each other. Let's focus on serving the profession versus serving just us. You can make money by serving others. Let me just say that. You can make a lot of money by serving others well. But that's my battle cry. And that's the hope that I have for this profession is that we get back to what we were meant to do in the first place, and get this message to the world. So
I call that segment Heal the Healer. And thanks, Dave, for being on with me today. Your episode 750. It's a milestone episode for us. We're on our march to 1,000 episodes. If you guys haven't checked us out, go over to chirohustle.com. Dave, if people want to stay in touch with you, how can they do that?
Just send me a message. I'm pretty active on my Facebook and Instagram Messenger. So if you want to get in touch or chat, always happy to talk to good people. So shoot me a message. I'll be happy to talk.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being our guest today. I'll close out like I always do. And I tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. See you, Dave.
See you, brother.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.